Hello and welcome to a special edition of Fantasy Premier League, the D Unit's journey. I'm FPL D Unit, and today we are talking all about the mystery chip that is no longer a mystery. In fact, it's the assistant manager's chip. What the hell is the assistant manager's chip, you ask? Well, that's why I'm here, to let you know all about it. And it is an interesting chip, let's be honest. And there's a few different strategies about playing it. You could pick a top-rated team and play it safe and play it on a double game week where, they're going to play 4 times, get 4 wins. That's 24 points because it's 6 points for a win. And hope they score a few goals and keep a few clean sheets, and you'd be making 30 to 40 points. Pretty fair. Or you could be risky and play an educated risk and pick managers that are below the teams they're playing and hope and back them into get at least a draw or a win, because they'll get you more points than picking on one of the managers that is likely to get a win. I'm going to explain it all now in this little segment I'm going to whack up. So without further ado, let's get into the assistant manager chip, which was the mystery chip. All right, so what do you need to know? What is the best strategy? When do you play it? And which manager do you pick? Well, I'm telling you, you don't just pick one manager. You're going to pick 3 managers. I'm going to explain the best strategy in the game that everyone is going to jump on board because of the fact that this makes the most sense. And it is also a good chance of making some massive points rather than just playing it safe and boring. All right, so what do you need to know? The chip can't be played with any other chip, and it's a rolling chip over 3 entire game weeks, and it's not available until game week 24. All right? So, for example, if you played in game week 24, it would cover game weeks 24, 25, 26. You can't turn it on and off, so whenever you play it, you're playing that game week and 2 more following it. You can't play it with a free hit. You can't play it with a wild card. You can't play it with a bench boost, and you can't play it with the triple captain. It is a standalone chip, so you have to factor that in. And obviously, I've only used my first wild card, so I'm having to factor in when I'm going to play all these things. So I can tell you straight up right now, my triple captain is going to be locked in for probably game week 25 when we're looking at Liverpool or Everton being scheduled to that time, because obviously Liverpool look like they're going to qualify directly for the Champions League, which means they'll be put there. And that's a very tasty looking double game week. And as long as Mo Salah's fit and he's firing, he's the easiest triple captain I think we're going to have all season long. Straight up. My bench boost is going to be played in game week 36. My second wild card will be played in game week 35 to make the most of that in order to get the bench boost out for the 36. My free hit is going to be played in the blank game week, which is scheduled to be game week 34. And then I'm going to play the assistant manager chip in game week 31 to 32 to make the most of the first double game week we're likely to have, which is likely to be in game week 32. And then obviously there is blank game week 28 or 29 to factor in as well. So that is my strategy moving forward. And now I'm going to get into what the hell the assistant manager is all about. All right, so the manager will cost you between 0.5 and 1.5 million. And it comes from your existing budget. So if you've got crap team value, this is going to be a real problem, because you're already skimping out as it is, trying to pick players that, you're trying to do some things. You're going to have to skimp out even more. One of your 6 million defenders may well have to become a 4.5 in order to get your manager in. That is a fact. I'm lucky. I'm at 105.2 million team value, so I'm in a very good position in order to make the most of this particular chip. Double game weeks still work with the chip as well. That has to be said, and points are scored as such. 6 points for a win. 3 points for a draw, nothing for a loss. So if your team loses, your manager does absolutely diddly squat, other than gets points for the goals that they scored. So if you lost 5-4, you'd still get 4 points for 4 goals. You get 2 for a clean sheet, and as I said, 1 goal per goal scored. Now, this is where the points really are. You can get an extra 10 points for a win, which would make 16 points just for a win, or 5 for a draw, which would be 8 points in total for a draw, if the manager you pick is playing a team at least 5 places above them in the Premier League. So, for example, if you picked a Manchester United manager who is currently 13th and they were playing the team that is in 8th and they beat them, you'd get 16 points for the win. And now all of a sudden you're like wondering, I can see where he's going with this strategy. Yes, because if Arnie Slot sits there and gets 4 wins as is expected during the double game week 31 to 33, where they're likely to have a double game week, then he's only going to get you a maximum of 24 points from the wins. But if you pick a team that is 5 places below, and even if they only played 3 games, they could get you 48 points just from the wins, which is exactly double what Arnie Slot would get you. If you're a genius and you can do this, and this is the strategy, I will be changing to 3 different managers using 3 transfers. Unfortunately, transferring managers does cost you a transfer and you don't get any extra. So you've also got to factor that into the budget as well and your thinking. So you've got to have a really good settled team. Picking players who've got 90 minutes is definitely going to help with this strategy. So as I said, double game weeks still count. Surely you pick a Liverpool manager and just be done with it, or like a Man City or an Arsenal or something like that. No, I don't think so. There's no extra points for playing teams below you other than the fact that they might score more goals. I just don't think that there's that much upside, and we're going to get into that in a little bit in a second. And as I said, the best strategy is to play it from 31 to 33, and I'm going to say the best strategy is to choose 3 different managers over 3 different game weeks. All right, now without further ado, let's get into what the hell I'm waffling and see if it makes sense on the other side. Please let me know if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel, because this is the kind of stuff you're missing out on. I am top 19,000 for a reason. It is because of the fact that I have been playing the season relatively well. All right, so let's have a look at the official Fantasy Premier League site. So the most FPL points for managers in 24-25 is Arnie Slot has the greatest total of 115, but his greatest 3-week game score is 31 points. And I think that was from game week 2 to 4 or something like, oh no, 1 to 3, where they beat Man United. Who'd they start the season against? Ipswich and somebody else. Can't remember who the third team was, but they kept 3 clean sheets and he pretty much got 10 points per game and one was 11. So there you go. The 11 one was the Man United one. That's just depressing in itself. But the best manager to have picked is actually Areola from Bournemouth. His game week score, well, I think it was from game weeks 8 to 10, and they beat Man City and Arsenal in that stretch, and he got a grand total of 47 points. Now, you can already see that's 16 points. 16 points in Fantasy Premier League is a big amount of points. Now, you can play it safe, and you can almost lock yourself away to like get a minimum of like 30 to 35, 40 points, probably over the double game week in between 31 and 33. But I just don't think that is the plan. I think the plan I'm about to show you is definitely the strategy you want to be thinking about moving forward. So if we look down here, Eddie Howe was obviously second. So Newcastle, a bit mid-table. They've beaten teams above them. Wolves, obviously, 35. Are you for real? Wolves are like second last, aren't they? Third last? See? Postecoglou, even Spurs, they spanked Man City, got good points in that game, 4-0. 4 points for the 4 goals, a clean sheet, that's 2, that's 6. Then obviously you got the 16 for beating them. That's a lot of points from just one game. So you can see where I'm going with this, and this is why I think the strategy of picking 3 different managers across 3 different game weeks is going to work a treat. Now, if you want to know who I really think will be really good here at some point, Man United will hit a run of form. And they are 13th in the table. Amarin, at some point, I reckon, is going to get it right, and they are going to go on one, hopefully in the second season. So look, breaking down. So I've just, for example, the Bournemouth one. So they played Arsenal and Man City. And then they played Aston Villa, and they got 8 points from the draw with Aston Villa, 3 for the draw and 5 more for a table bonus draw. So you can see that they've got absolutely big points in those things. So game week 8, they made 20 points. Game week 10 against Man City, 18. And against Aston Villa, where it was just a draw, 9 points. Massive amounts of points are on offer if you get the managers right. All right, so Slot's more consistent, but he's likely to get you 30 points. He's likely to get you 10 points a game. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Do you want to chase the ceiling score and get on almost 6 to 8 points extra per game by taking a little bit of risk? I mean, to put it in perspective, if you get it right in one game week, because we just looked there, that Bournemouth one, 20 points, 2-0 over Arsenal, compared to Arnie Slot, who beat Ipswich 2-0 and got 10. That's like literally double points. So keep that in mind. That's why this strategy, I think, is so good moving forward. So these are the best fixtures they're talking about. So if you're picking like a good team, Brentford 26 to 28, Leicester away, Everton at home, Aston Villa away at home. Like that's good fixtures for them. I mean, but like if you're just chasing goals. Now, if you're looking at Chelsea, who are obviously near the top, and they've got a really nice run from Southampton, Leicester and Arsenal, and Aston Villa in there. So, like, again, they're playing two pretty easy teams. However, I think you need to get a little bit more creative. And this is where the fixture difficulty rating comes in, right? And the league table. So the first thing we want to have a look at is the league table. Now, currently, as it stands, if you're Nottingham Forest, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, you can't play anyone 5 places above you. But if we have a look at some of the teams that are between 6 through to even 13, 14, even Wolves down the bottom there, they could play Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Leicester, Everton, West Ham. If they beat West Ham at home, easy points. You get what I'm saying? Like Man United, as we know, they played... They haven't played Bournemouth or Brighton, but they haven't actually beaten any of those teams above them. But they did get a draw against Villa away. But you see where I'm going here. Tottenham here could play Aston Villa, Nottingham. They already spanked Man City. We've seen that. So I think at some point during the season, and when it comes to game weeks 31 to 33, this table's going to look a boatload different, and teams are going to be in a form, out of form. And we all know mid-table teams at that particular time of the season, some of them already know they're going to be safe, and they switch off, and there is easy wins to be had. So it's all going to come down to who is going to be in these spots between number 6, and I'd probably say anywhere down to 19, because Southampton, you're never going to go with them. But depending on the fixture and the form, this is what's going to be critical when it comes to playing the chip. And that's why I think it's going to be really important to transfer managers for those 3 weeks to try and maximise the amount of points you can get. So if we go back to the fixture difficulty rating here, and we go to, and I'm saying here, we are going to be looking at game weeks 31 to 33. So over here, there we go. We're on 31, 33. I'll just put it across there. So there's 29, but there's 31, 32, 33. Now, Arsenal, as you can see there, have a really nice run of fixtures over 31 to 33. Everton away, Brentford at home, Ipswich away. You would probably guarantee that they're going to win all 3 games. Bournemouth, though, again, they've got nice, pretty 3 games there as well. But it's the teams that I'm looking at, like a Brentford. Now, Brentford, I would think, could well be 5 places below Brighton in game week 33, right here. And we know how good Brentford are at the G-Tech Stadium. I would back them in for at least a draw, if not a win, against Brighton there. And if they're 5 places below, that is probably somewhere I would look. We know Brentford are going to score goals. We know Brighton concede goals. That is a player, that's definitely something I'll be looking at in particular for that particular week. Now, if we go down here, and we can see that in game week 32, Nottingham Forest, Everton could be a place where you could go. Even Fulham against Bournemouth might be a place that you can go. Now, I prefer the home fixtures, so I'm not sure who's got a home fixture here that would look really enticing. But Newcastle, Man United could be an interesting one. Other than that, it is a bit difficult that week. That could be a week, and game week 32, remember, is the double game week, so we might have some weird old games in there as well, which might make it a little bit more interesting. And that could be a week where you just go for an Arnie Slot or a Mikel Arteta or whatever you want, because of the fact that they're going to have the double fixture in there. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. It just depends on who those teams are that make the Carabao Cup final. That is going to play a large part there. So whoever it is, that's who I would be targeting game week 32. It's too hard to look ahead because we don't know what's going to happen and which teams are going to make it to that double game week in that particular week. So that is something I'll say there. Now, game week 31. This one, again, has some really nice fixtures that you can target. All right, so Crystal Palace play Brighton at home. Now, Brighton just happen to be a team that I expect to be higher up than Crystal Palace by at least 5 spots. But Crystal Palace could be, by that time, we know how Glasner was at the end of last season. They could be on a bit of a tear. They might actually find some form, and they could be good. Ipswich and Wolves, there might not be enough room in between there, so that might be something to keep in mind. Leicester against Newcastle at home. Now, this is a fixture potentially where Leicester could get some sort of a result. Newcastle don't travel away from home, and they can get guaranteed to be at least 5 spots above Leicester, and that is a fixture that I don't mind the look of. Ruud van Nistelrooy could well win or cause some sort of an upset there. Don't count it out. So all it needs is for one of these results to win, and it's already paid off. you're already going to be laughing. And then the other 2 weeks when you do the transfer or whatever are literally just going to be free hits because of the fact that you've already nailed 1 week of the 3. So this is why I think this strategy works the best. Even Man United could well be 5 places below Nottingham Forest by the time this fixture rolls round in 31. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, or 30, sorry. So you can play at 30 to 32, 31 to 33. It's really up to you. It just depends on which one you want to do. I'm pretty sure there's a blank game week in here, but I feel like 30 you might be fine. So look, that's something to keep in mind, and that you do have to keep in mind when the double game weeks are going to be, when they're not going to be, because that will factor into your decisions. Even West Ham against Bournemouth. Like, West Ham are likely to be 5 spots below Bournemouth in 31. Like, that is a fixture I'm more than happy to take on. West Ham at home, Bournemouth, yeah, I definitely could see that paying off handsomely, 100%. So look, that is the strategy I'm talking about. Obviously, talking about it now is going to be irrelevant. You can't even play the damn chip to game week 24. And the league table's obviously going to look a boatload different by the time we get here to game weeks 30, 31, 32, 33. But that is the strategy to do. Don't read about playing it safe. This is not a play it safe chip. This is a high risk, high reward chip, I reckon. Because even if it fails and only 1 week comes off, you're still going to be getting probably a maximum of 30 points, which is not going to be far off. All it needs is 1 week out of those 3 to pop off, and you're going to have massive points compared to if you just play it safe and you're going to get maybe 30. If you play it risky, you're still probably going to get about the same. But if you play it risky and it all comes off, you could be miles in front. It could be the difference between finishing top 10,000, as I said, miles outside the top 100,000. Let me know in the comments if I got it right. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. That's been the D Unit explaining the mystery chip. I'm looking forward to it. I reckon my strategy is mint. It's going to take me upwards. Watch and learn. Watch and learn. D Unit out.